She winced, clutching her side. Every breath was a struggle. "It hurts when I move," she whispered. Luke had just finished repairing the corral gate when he heard the sound of hurried footsteps crunching over the gravel. He turned and froze. A young woman was stumbling toward him, her face pale, her dress torn and dust-streaked. She nearly collapsed at his feet, gasping for air, one hand pressed tightly against her ribs. He caught her before she hit the ground, his arm steady and sure. "Easy, miss. You're safe now. What happened? What happened?" She tried to speak, but pain twisted her features. I fell off my horse, landed hard. It hurts when I move. Please help me." Luke's heart pounded. He'd seen plenty of accidents on the ranch, but something about the way she held herself, protective, desperate, told him this was more than a bruise. "Let's get you inside," he said, his voice gentle but firm. He carried her into the house and laid her carefully on the sofa. She bit her lip, fighting back tears. "Don't let anyone see me like this," she whispered. "I just need to catch my breath." Luke knelt beside her, brushing the hair from her face. "I need to check where it hurts, all right? I'll be careful." She nodded, her eyes shining with pain and trust. With slow, steady hands, Luke lifted the edge of her blouse. The sight made him freeze. Her side was swollen and purple, the skin stretched tight over a jagged bruise. But worse, he could see the outline of a broken rib pressing dangerously close to the skin. For a long moment he couldn't move. The sight was raw and startling. Then the woman whimpered, her breath coming in short, uneven bursts. "Please don't let me die here." He snapped into action. "What's your name?" "Nora," she managed, barely above a whisper. "Nora James." "All right, Nora," he said. "I'm Luke. You've got a broken rib, maybe two. But you're going to be all right. Just stay still." He fetched his old medical kit, hands moving fast but careful, wrapping her ribs with a clean bandage. He worked as gently as he could. "You're lucky you made it this far," he murmured. Nora tried to smile through the pain. "It didn't feel lucky. I just kept thinking about my sister. I promised I'd come." Luke helped her sip some water, then propped her up with pillows. "You need to rest. I'll send for the doctor." She reached for his hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "Thank you, Luke. I thought I'd be left out there all night." He smiled softly. "We're safe now. I'll stay right here." As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in gold and rose, Luke kept watch by her side, checking her bandage, wiping her brow, murmuring quiet reassurances. Sometimes, he thought, the most important thing a man could do was just be there. The night was long and restless. Nora drifted in and out of shallow sleep, her face pale with pain. Luke sat close, never letting her out of sight. When she stirred, he was there, steady, calm, a presence she could lean on without words. Just before dawn, the doctor arrived, his coat dusted from the trail. After examining her, he looked up at Luke. "You did right," he said. "The rib's broken, but it hasn't punctured the lung. She'll need rest, light meals, and someone to keep an eye on her. No heavy lifting, no riding." Nora managed a faint smile. "No deep breaths either, right, Doc?" The doctor chuckled. "That too. You're lucky you found help when you did." He gave Luke a nod before heading out. When he left, Luke set about making Nora as comfortable as he could. He brought her broth, coaxing her to eat, and told her quiet stories about the ranch, the stubborn mule that refused to cross the stream, the orphan calf he'd once nursed back to health. Nora listened, smiling between winces, her spirit slowly returning. Days passed. Each morning brought a little more color to her cheeks. She learned to move carefully, to breathe shallowly, to accept help when she needed it. Luke admired her grit. She never complained, never let the pain steal her hope. When she was strong enough, she began helping where she could, folding laundry, peeling potatoes, reading aloud from an old book she found on the shelf. Her voice filled the quiet house like sunlight spilling through dusty windows. One afternoon, as the light slanted through the curtains, Nora looked at Luke with tears in her eyes. "You saved me, Luke. Not just my ribs, me. I was afraid of being seen, of being weak. But you never made me feel small." Luke smiled, resting his calloused hand over hers. "We all need help sometimes. There's no shame in that. What matters is having someone who cares enough to stay." She squeezed his hand, her voice trembling. "I want to stay, Luke. I want to help here, on the ranch, if you'll have me." His answer came with a smile that said everything. "I'd like nothing better." Word of Nora's accident spread quickly through the valley. Neighbors stopped by with soup, bread, and curiosity. They came to see the woman who had survived a fall most wouldn't walk away from. and the rancher who had refused to give up on her. They left with something else, a sense of respect, maybe even hope. As the weeks passed, Nora's strength returned. The limp faded, her laughter returned, soft and musical. She and Luke worked side by side again, feeding the animals, mending fences, tending the garden. The days grew longer and lighter, and with them the weight between them softened into something tender, something neither of them dared to name out loud. One evening, as the stars began to prick the horizon, Nora sat beside Luke on the porch. She rested her head against his shoulder. Thank you," she whispered, "for not turning away, for seeing me when I was at my worst." Luke wrapped an arm around her, his voice quiet. "You showed me what real courage looks like. You stayed when it would have been easier to give up." The weeks rolled on, and Nora found her rhythm in the valley. Mornings were spent gathering eggs, afternoons tending the flower beds. The pain in her ribs faded to a dull reminder of how far she'd come. The neighbors had come to love her kindness, her patience, her laughter that could ease any heart. She taught the ranch hand to read, and the local children how to braid wildflowers into crowns. One golden afternoon, Nora and Luke walked the fence line together. The sky was wide and soft above them. Nora paused, looking out over the rolling land. "I never thought I'd find a place where I belonged," she said quietly. "I always felt like I had to keep moving, keep proving I was strong. But here, with you, I can just be." Luke smiled, his voice deep and gentle. "You are strong, Nora, but you don't have to prove it to anyone. You belong here." "Just as you are," she reached for his hand. "Then I'll stay. I want to build a life here. With you." His grip tightened, warm and sure. "There's nothing I'd like more." The seasons turned. The orchard they planted together bloomed, and the ranch seemed to breathe easier, as if it too had healed. On the anniversary of the day he'd found her, Nora planted a row of wild roses along the path to the house, bright, living symbols of her journey from pain to peace. That evening, under the soft glow of lantern light, they sat on the porch once more, the world around them hushed and calm. Nora leaned into Luke, her voice full of quiet gratitude. "I thank you for checking underneath, for not turning away when you saw my pain. You gave me hope when I had none left." Luke looked at her, his eyes steady. "You gave me hope, too, Nora. Too, Nora. You reminded me that the greatest gifts come from opening your door and your heart to someone in need." As the moon climbed high and silvered the land, the ranch glowed with warmth and promise. The pain that once marked their beginning had given way to something far greater, understanding, healing, love. And in that stillness, they both knew a truth that would carry them through every season to come. Even the deepest wounds could heal when someone cared enough to look beneath the surface, to stay, to believe, and to offer kindness, simply because it was right. The night settled around them, gentle and sure, wrapping the ranch in quiet peace. For the first time in a long time, Nora felt whole. And Luke, watching her smile in the soft light, knew that some rescues had nothing to do with broken bones and everything to do with finding someone who sees you, even in your pain, and chooses to stay. They sat together until the stars faded into dawn, the wild roses outside trembling with the first light of day, two souls mended by mercy and bound by the quiet power of love.